It is 6 a.m. and if you love Africa and you love wildlife, you're in the right place. This is Safari Live. Ready? Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to Safari Live. Welcome everyone. My name's Hayden Turner and we are sitting in the middle of the African bush. We are on Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, South Africa. I'm crying a little bit this morning because it's 9 degrees. Or if you're anywhere else in the world that measures in Fahrenheit, it's 49 degrees. It is a bit chilly this morning. And I've got VM on the back here with me. Amazing cameraman. He's my eyes in the skies. And welcome to all the New South Wales schools watching in Australia. This is a school special for the first hour. Jamie Patterson is on the other vehicle and she's out looking for lots of creatures as well. It's so good to have you on board. This is a Wild Earth and Taronga Conservation Society collaboration. We've gotten together and we've come directly into your schools, which is so exciting for me. There's a lot of schools watching today and you know what I'm going to do straight away? I'm going to read out those schools because I think it's really important that we give you a bit of a shout out straight up. So here we go. Here's the list of schools that it's watching today. So when you hear, I'm still crying here a little bit, everyone. It's not that I'm not a bit sad. It's really cold and my eyes are streaming. Right, when you hear your school name shouted out, I want to hear a big cheer. We want to hear it all the way from Australia to Africa here. And VM and I will give you the thumbs up if we hear it at the end, okay? You ready for this? So as soon as you hear your school, give us a big shout out. I want you to take the roof off your school. We have Barrenjoey Montessori School, Canley Heights Public School, Chifley Public School, Camila High Special Education Unit, brilliant, Daceyville Public School, Dawson Public School, Five Dock Public School, Floraville Public School, French's Forest Public School, Iluka Public School, Janali East Public School, Mariong Public School, I'm still crying, oh sorry about that. Mara Public School, Middle Harbour Public School. Hi guys, that's my boys' school and it's so good to see you guys. I can't really see you, but I can feel you. Hi Jack and everyone in Year 5, Mr. Manning, great to hear you and see you. Newcastle Senior School, Nowendock Public School. That's brilliant. I used to work out that way when I was a young fella. Arana Heights Public School, Orange East Public School, Plumpton Public School, Stratford Public School, Stewart's Point Public School, Sydney Children's Hospital School. Absolutely fantastic to have you on board too, guys. Warners Bay High School and Warwick Farm Public School. Wow, that is amazing. So give us the biggest cheer. Guys, that is so great to have you on board. And we are going to go along now and try and find whatever we can. So remember, we are in the African bush and I'm still crying from joy and crying from the cold. We are going to try and find what we can. And we're going to just drive along and anything could happen. You've got to remember, everyone, that this is the wild African bush. The sun is just coming up. We did hear lions around here last night. We were all going to our rooms and we heard this big ooh, ooh, and it was all around this area, so we're not sure. We may come across them. It's very cold and they'll probably be feeling it a little bit as well. But we've got lion in the area, we've got leopard in the area. Yesterday morning we saw leopard. We also have wild dog and we've got giraffe, elephant, buffalo, but lots of small animals as well. And I think that's really important to know that all the different animals in the ecosystem, and you may have done food webs or food chains or habitats, and some of these words may ring home to you and some you may be about to learn. And if you don't know any of the words that we use on the program this morning, ask your teachers. I forgot. Round of applause, all the schools that we mentioned, a round of applause for your teachers. That's the most important thing. If it wasn't for the teachers, you wouldn't have this together. So hats off to all you teachers out there that pulled this together to have a live cross from Africa right into your schools. Now sometimes we lose a little bit of signal down here and I'll explain how we're doing this later on. So what we're going to do is go down in this little dip, and I made loose a little bit of signal. So before I do that, we're going to cross over to Jamie, and I want you to meet her. She's absolutely incredible. Jamie Patterson. Cross over to her, see what she's up to, and let's go and try and find some animals for you. We'll see you just now.
And isn't Hayden incredibly kind? But good morning to all of you. It is lovely to have you here on this crisp and chilly winter's morning here in the African bush. My name is Jamie, and the man behind the camera, the very skilled man behind the camera, is Brian Joubert. And of course, with Brian comes a very special person known as the Thumb. And if you keep watching and sending us through wonderful questions, then perhaps every now and again the Thumb might make an appearance, but he's quite shy. Everybody say a very good morning, or in your case, a good afternoon to Brian and the Thumb. So, first thing in the morning, my absolute favorite time to be out in the middle of the African bush. Even though it's a little bit cold on mornings like these, the best part of it is the feeling of excitement, and it immediately takes me back to my childhood. Well, I grew up in a city, so I didn't get to experience the bush every single day, but I was lucky enough to go on holiday to the Kruger National Park regularly, or different reserves throughout South Africa. And this has childhood memories of mine getting up really early, grabbing a cup of coffee, and heading out to see what we can find. And this is the perfect time to be out because the nocturnal creatures, the lions, the leopards, the hyenas, the aardvarks and the honey badgers and all kinds of things are still awake, and at the same time the sun is slowly creeping up towards the horizon. And for us that means that the daytime animals are also coming out. So cheetah, wild dog, all of the beautiful birds, antelope species. There is just so much to see out here. I don't even know where to start. Hayden's told you about the lions that were calling last night. I also heard a leopard sawing. Now, who knows what a leopard sounds like? Any of you ever heard what a leopard sounds like? Because they can roar, but they don't roar like a lion. A leopard makes a sound that we call sawing, because it sounds like somebody with a big saw trying to cut down a tree. Now, I'll do my very best impression. I have to tell you, I'm not very good at it, but I'll try and give you my best impression of what a leopard sounds like. They sort of go I'm not nearly as good as a leopard is. And Mrs. Yukana and Warwickfield Public School, it's lovely to have you on board with us, and I hope you are enjoying our live safari experience. And you wanted to know whether or not we are scared of the wildlife. Scared? No. But it is important to remember that they are wild, and that we are in their home, and that they are bigger and stronger than us. Especially things like elephants, but anything out here is much stronger and much more resilient than a human being. Plus, we're in their home, not the other way around, which means we treat them with utmost respect, because they are capable of hurting us, but they don't want to. And Madeline, who is 6 years old, welcome to our lovely wild safari experience. And we're going looking for the lions this morning. Madeline would like to know, why do lions eat meat? And the answer is, Madeline, because that's the way that they're built. So their digestive system and their teeth mean that they can't eat plants, they can only eat meat. And although it might seem very cruel to us as human beings, if you think about it, lions are necessary because if they didn't catch and eat animals, there'd be too many animals. There'd be too many buffalo, there'd be too many other things. And what that in turn means is that there wouldn't be enough plants to feed them all. So that's why lions eat meat. They help to keep the population of the herbivores under control. And they only eat what they need when they're hungry. They're not greedy. And Rosella, who is 7 years old from Daceyville Public School, lovely to have you. We're busy looking for lions. Let us see what we can find out here on this bright and beautiful morning. And Rosella wants to know why lions have manes. And the answer to that is only the boys have manes. So what is it that the boys do that the girls don't do? Well, the answer to that is that they fight. In order to have access to females, they fight for the right to pass on their genes and to have little lion cubs. So the male protects their neck and their head from another male lion fighting with them. It also makes them look bigger and scarier, and for the females that means that they look more attractive, because it means that they're going to be good fathers that can look after the cubs, or at least look after the cubs' home, their territory. So that's why only male lions have manes. Females don't, because they don't need them. They don't fight as much, and a mane makes them very hot and overheat and heavy. So the lionesses don't have manes because it means that they can hunt for longer, they can run for longer, they don't overheat, which means that they can provide for themselves and for their little babies. Now, if we're really lucky, there are lots and lots of lion cubs out and about at the moment. We've got lion cubs everywhere. We've just got to try and find them. I saw them yesterday, and I'm hoping that they're going to make an appearance. They're only a few months old, tiny little fluff balls. Now, while we go off in search of lions and other wondrous things to show you, let's jump on the board with Hayden and find out where he's going.
Well, it's a little bit quiet, I have to say, but that happens at this time of the morning, and it also is very, very cold. We're just driving around. We went down to check out where Karula, our famous leopard, was, and she's gone now. But yesterday, she had some food up in a tree there, and she had her cubs down the bottom, and a hyena was waiting down the bottom as well for any food that fell out of the tree, and it sure did. One of the cubs got up there and had a little bit of a feed, and the last bit of food fell to the ground, and the hyena picked it up really, really quickly and crunched through those bones. Hyenas have an incredibly powerful bite and a powerful crunch. They've got teeth that are like at the back, shaped a little bit like that, and they crush through bones. Very, very powerful. They eat bones, they eat nearly all the animal, and they digest it, and guess what colour their poo turns? Really, really white, and that's from the bones, all the calcium that they eat. So we can tell a lot from different animal droppings. We can tell what animals have been here, elephants, and we'll have a little look at that in a minute. But yeah, I know it sounds a little bit gross and a little bit disgusting, but you know what, it's a really, really good thing, because it lets us tell how long ago animals were here or not. I'm going across a dam wall at the moment. There's not a lot of water in it. I'll just show you there. So that's how dry it is here, kids. It's really dry. That's the last little bit of water left in this dam. So you know that a lot of animals really need water, and they also need vegetation, which is the habitat. So there's lots of different things they need, and the balance has to be right. At the moment, it's the middle of winter. Very cold this morning. Middle of winter, which means that not a lot of rain comes in this area. So it might be worth asking your teachers if you could do maybe a little project or have an investigation in class about habitats, which is where animals live. It's just a fancy word really for where animals live. And also climate. So we've got a question from Zander at Daceyville Public School. Great to have you on board, guys. Really, really great. You want to know why crocodiles live in the water? Well, crocodiles are one of the oldest creatures still living on our planet. They're living dinosaurs, those guys. And they've adapted. They've found what we call a niche, or a special spot in the habitat, and water was the place that they were most successful. So, you know, animals find a little spot that they're very successful at, and then they stay in that spot, and if they're really successful, they last for a very, very long time. And crocodiles, another thing you could probably research or look up with your teachers, do a little project on crocodiles and find out how long crocodiles have been around, where they live, all the different species in the world, because they occur everywhere, or not everywhere, but a lot of places, and there's numerous species. In Australia, we've got the biggest one. saltwater crocodiles. We've got a beautiful female, I think it's a female, saltwater crocodile at Taronga Zoo if you ever get a chance to get there. But you can also go onto the Taronga Zoo website and have a look up crocodile, and I think there might be a picture of her, but she's magic. I'm pretty sure it's a female. But there's crocodiles here in Africa as well, not on the reserve we've got, but there's African crocodiles called Nile crocodiles. I've got a question. I think I just want to get the person's name again, please. I've just got an earpiece in my ear, kids. Can you spell for me? Oh, lovely. That's a cool name. Saris. I couldn't quite hear through my little earpiece, so I've got the directors talking to me in this little earpiece and giving me your questions, which is so fantastic. Saris, cool name, from Five Dock Public School wants to know, is it true that hippopotamus get out of the water at night get out of the water at night, I think was the question. It is absolutely true, Saris, and you know why they do that? They do that because it's the coolest time of the day. Sometimes, I'm just looking up the road here for any animals. I'm going to go down here. I think there might be some antelope down the bottom here we can have a look at. And VM has also got his eyes open for me. But Saris, just to finish your question, they do get out of the water at night. We don't have any hippo around here at the moment, but they can travel really long distances, mate. And, you know, that isn't enough water down there for hippo, but there used to be hippo in that dam, and they get out at night and they feed on the grass. They're like big lawnmowers. They're the lawnmowers of Africa, and they feed on grass. A lot of people think that they feed on plants that live in the water, but that's not true. They feed on grass all around here, and they mow the grass, and just before the sun comes up, they head back to the water for safety, because they find water is their safe place, and that's where they spend most of the day. They've got very delicate skin, hippopotamus. So again, maybe do a little bit of research on hippos, because there's two different species of hippos. There's the common hippopotamus, or the big one, and then there's another one up in West Africa which you could probably research, and I'm not sure if you knew this, that's called the pygmy hippopotamus, and that hippopotamus is in some areas very, very endangered and quite threatened. So maybe do a bit of research with your teachers and have a little look about why. They're a smaller one, and they spend more time in the forest than they do in the water. Really good to compare the two species. Oh my goodness, kids, it's freezing. As we go down the hill here, it gets colder. Wow, I've got a great question here. Micah from Middle Harbour Public School. Hi guys. Know you guys just around the corner, and Mr. Manning and Jack and all your mates are watching right now. And Micah, great question. Let's just get through this bit and I'll answer it for you. What's the rarest animal? Well, I'll tell you what the rarest animal is at the moment, which I haven't seen here on this reserve. One of our other presenters, Brent, has seen it, and this will really ring home to you, Middle Harbour public, because I know you have done some work on this on a project. But it is a pangolin, an African pangolin. Now I know that you did a project on Sunda pangolin in Indonesia, but here we have African pangolin. They look very similar, but that's the rarest animal, I reckon, and I would love to see one here in the wild. Again, you know lots about it, and maybe just get Mr. Manning to have a little look and have a comparison of the Sunda pangolin, the one that you studied, and the African one. Okay, whilst I'm looking for some animals, I'm going to cross over to Jamie, because I'm sure she's got something really interesting to tell you. We'll see you just now.
Well, one of the things that you have to do when you're a safari guide is basically to act like a detective. So you're looking for clues to try and figure out where the animals might have gone. Now, what do you think might be the biggest clue that an animal would leave behind? Well, on these perfect sandy roads, one of the things we look for, if you've ever been on the beach and you've seen where people have walked, it works exactly the same here, and this is known as tracking. So looking for where an animal's footprint is in the sand. Now have a look at the sand and see if you can see what I have seen. It's not all that easy to see, which means I'm going to jump out and show you. But there you go. something walked there and made a patch of, or an imprint in the soil. Let me jump out and let me show you exactly what it is you're looking at, because it's not always that easy the first time round. You've got to build up your detective skills by practicing. And I can actually turn all my lights off. We don't need to go around with bright lights now that it's getting light again. Okay, so we're looking at something big, but I'll show you why I know that. Let me find a nice stick. Always important, actually, before you go jumping out of the car, to check that there's nothing around you. But let's have a look at this. So, something walked down this road, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly where the best one is to show you. I think this will probably be one of the best. So something walked down this road, and it left its footprints. And what you're actually looking at is, this is a toe, this is a toe, this is a toe, and this is a toe. Something with 4 toes, and then here's the heel of the animal over here. So this whole footprint, look how big it is. If you compare it to the size of my hand, it's the size of my hand. So something big with paws walked down this road, and in this case I'm certain that it's a lion. And because of the size of the track, and because I've spent a lot of time practicing my detective skills, I can tell you that it was a male lion walking along this road. Now, there's another thing I can tell you. This was made not long ago, maybe a couple of hours, maybe even just a few minutes, because the tracks are very, very clear, very fresh. After time, as the wind starts to blow, as vehicles start to move across, it becomes less and less clear and harder to see. But first thing in the morning like this, which is why it's so great to be out here, this is the perfect time to go tracking, and you're going to help me keep an eye out for these big cats. I think this male is still somewhere here, and he's going that way. So he's coming along down this road. Let's go see if we can't figure out exactly where he went. I'm going to try and follow him. Jump back in. And I'm a big baby when it comes to the cold, so I'm going to put my hot water bottle, my bright pink hot water bottle, back inside my jacket so that I stay nice and warm. And let's go see if we can't find this male lion. So, what do male lions do at night? He's going to be walking along, roaring, marking his territory. Let's go and see if we can't figure out exactly where he went. In the meantime, though, Hayden has found his antelope of the day, which is one of my particular favorites. Let's go and have a look at what it is.
So we've just come up onto this lovely little plateau area now, we call the quarantine area, and I've come across these 2 beautiful antelope, and I know Jamie loves this antelope as well, but they are looking at something which is really interesting. I'm just going to gently go forward a bit. These are called impala. Now they're quite common. When I say common, there's a lot of them. There's not a lot of them right here, right now, but this is a male, and I'm just going to get up a little bit closer. Beautiful antelope. He's definitely looking at something, and when I say looking at something, these antelope will keep their eyes open because they are a prey animal for carnivores. But the really, really interesting thing, there's another one down below. He's just walking in there. We'll go around the other side of this tree, and then there's another one there feeding. Wow, how cool is that? Well, it's not often you get the chance to hear my boy ask me a question in Africa, but hello buddy, how are you, Jack? My son Jack in Middle Harbour Public School is asking what are the animals on the top of the food chain. Well, fantastic question, buddy, and it does work from the top down or from the bottom up, whatever way you want to look at it. From the bottom up, it's the grasses, and then it goes up and up and up and up, and then from the top down is what we call the apex predators. And what we have here, apex predator wise, or the top of the food chain: lion, leopard, African wild dog, hyena, and then you could go to some other cats as well, caracal, serval, and you can work down from there. So, but you can build a food chain also, or a food web, and see what other animals come into that. And maybe that's something you could do with Mr. Manning. You can see what sort of animals fit into that food web. So a chain goes straight down, but a food web is exactly what it says, like a spider web. It's all meshed together. And you could do a food chain from a raptor, which is a bird of prey, maybe from an eagle all the way down, or a martial eagle in Africa or something like that. A great question, buddy, and I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to you in Africa, mate. Hello to everyone at Middle Harbour School. 100 years old as well this year. 100 years old, Middle Harbour. Just like the zoo, it's our centenary year at Taronga Zoo, and fantastic to have you on board, guys. But those antelope, those impala, they really are beautiful. Got a lovely, great question from Melissa. Hello, Warwick Farm Public School. Great to have you on board. Melissa, good question. Are animals more active around sunrise and sunset, or are they more active during the day? Well, you know what? It all depends on lots of things, Melissa, but you've got different creatures that are active during the day, and you've got different creatures that are active during the morning and afternoon, and then different creatures that are active at night. Some animals do it all. For example, leopards, they have a tendency to be more active in the morning and afternoon. I say that, I haven't seen one yet, but sometimes we will. But then again, I've seen them hunting during the middle of the day in a boiling hot sun in a country called Tanzania in East Africa. So it really does depend. The books tell you, lots of books tell you certain things about the animals, but there's always what we call exceptions to the rule. And that means that animals will change their behavior or adapt their behavior, change what they do during the day to actually adapt to the best time of the day to live. Now, I'm going to do something really fun here. I'm going to reverse back here, and I'm going to ask the first school to send in an email while I quickly have a chat and tell us to go straight, left or right road. You are going to tell us which way we're going to drive, and fingers crossed we might go the right way and see some more animals. So we're going to just wait for the first email to come through. Teachers, you'll be there, ticking along there at the moment. We'll do a question while we wait. Question from Warwick Farm Public School again. Ant, good question. Are impalas dangerous? Well, those horns can be really dangerous, particularly when they're fighting each other. Sometimes they fight each other for territories. But if an animal, maybe a predator, had a bit of a go at them, like a leopard, see, it probably wouldn't have a chance against the leopard because leopards are such incredible hunters. Excuse me. They could use their horns, but it probably wouldn't do too much towards a leopard. But you know what? Sometimes they might give another animal a little bit of a touch with them, but not really. I mean, if we were to go up to them and try and grab them, which we would never do, of course, we could get hurt. But those horns are very, very sharp, and they use them mainly to battle another male for a territory in the breeding season. So I'm just going to wait for a quick email. I hope the teachers are quickly moving along with email travelling across right now to us, and we're going to decide whether we go left or right. Fantastic. How incredible is that? A message has come through, and French's Forest Public School, you guys have just got it, and we are going to go right. Top work, guys. Let's see what we can find. I'm just going to let VM focus on this sunrise for you. I'm just going to move along a bit here, and you see this beautiful African sunrise. I'm going to pull up in front of this lovely tree here, and VM can show you how wonderful it is. The sun is rising, maybe going down in Australia, but rising in Africa. So wonderful stuff. I'm just going to get that question again, please. We've got a lovely question from Ellie in Sydney Children's Hospital School. How beautiful to have you on board, guys. And that sunset was for you. A beautiful, sunrise even, first thing in the morning. Ellie, you'd like to know how long do impalas live for? Well, you know what? It really does depend on where they are and how many predators are around, but sometimes they can get up to maybe 8 years old or around there if they're lucky to get through that. Sometimes it could be older. It just depends on how many predators are around. And there's a lot of predators around here at the moment. We did hear lions last night here, Ellie, as well. So lions will hunt impala. Leopards love impala. But you know what? Impala are one of my favourite antelope, as they are Jamie's. And they can leap an incredible amount. They can leap about 4 meters at a time. 3 meters in the air, believe it or not. 3 meters in the air and jump. It's a really important thing for them. It's one of their defense mechanisms, Ellie, to get away from predators. But they're a beautiful antelope. They're very successful antelope. Okay, what I'm going to do now is head down to this other little water hole and try and find something down here. But whilst I'm doing that, let's cross over to Jamie and see what she's up to.
While Hayden and I head out exploring, this male lion is playing hide and seek with us, and he's doing very well at the hiding part. The nice thing is, while we are looking for him, there's all kinds of other things to stop and stare at, and that's going to be true even as the sun starts to come up. And Mrs. Reardon in Warwick Farm Public School, lovely to have you on board, and a wonderful question. So the question from Mrs. Reardon is, while we're out on safari looking for animals, are we doing that just for fun, or do we do it for other information as well? Well, it depends upon where you work. When we go out on safari, one of our biggest aims is to bring the best possible reflection of wildlife. Because it's live and because it's completely unedited and unscripted, it gives you the best example of the animal's behavior. And not only that, we do also record all of our sightings, which then go to larger research organizations, such as a group called Panthera, that monitors big cat movements throughout South Africa and actually throughout the world. And that in turn, that information goes towards research students building up their background, their thesis or their PhD or whatever it is they're doing into animal movements, animal behavior, and of course that research all helps us in terms of conservation, because the more you know about something, the better you can protect it. Good morning to Jordan in Sydney Children's Hospital School. Jordan, it's very special to have you on board, and I hope you're enjoying our safari experience. Jordan wants to know how I became a ranger. Well, Jordan, it's something I've always wanted to do. So I've always loved being out in the bush. I remember when I was 2 years old, a big lion walking past our car in the Kruger National Park. And then when I was 8 years old, I went to a very special place called a rhino camp in a different part of South Africa, and there I was allowed to walk with the rhino. I was allowed to feed some of the orphaned rhino, and they became my favorite animal. And ever since then I've been working towards it. I did my training, and then I worked as an intern, worked in the Kalahari, lots of different things that I've done, Jordan, but I always wanted to do it throughout my life. And now, having lived in the bush for many years, I'm absolutely loving it, and I never get bored. Every day is different, and every day has something new to offer. Like, for example, this tree. These bright green trees. And as I jump out to Zach, I must be careful when I get out of the car, because Zach's question is whether lions prefer hot or cold weather. And the answer to that, Zach, is they actually far prefer cool weather than they do to hot. So lions get very hot, even hotter than we get on our hottest day. A lion's not very good at controlling its body temperature. check and make sure there's no lions waiting for me, hiding behind the trees. So lions prefer cold temperatures rather than hot. And that's why a lion actually spends so much time asleep in the shade during the day. That's why they're known for sleeping up to 20 hours a day, particularly in summer, because they can't do anything else or else they get too hot. This tree is called a spike-thorn tree, and this particular leaf is very, very important. Now, the reason it's bright green and full of leaves whilst all the other trees have been eaten is because it's very, very high in a chemical called tannins. Now what that means is if I were to eat this, it takes away all the spit, all of the saliva in my mouth. It's really very gross. I'm going to do it. I'd offer Brian, but I don't think Brian's going to eat any. Brian says no. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat some. And immediately, your mouth goes completely dry. And it makes it very difficult to move your tongue. It's very, very bitter. It's kind of gross. But if you ever find yourself with a stomach complaint, and I'm not going to eat the others, that was too much for me as it is. If you ever find yourself, maybe you've got a bit of a runny tummy, not feeling terribly well, that tree actually fixes that. So if you eat the leaves, then you will feel a lot better. And the amazing thing is, it's not just human beings that know that. The animals know that as well. So if they're ever feeling sick, or if they have sore teeth, especially baby elephants when they're growing their teeth, those of you who are in the process of losing your teeth and growing your new permanent teeth, you know how uncomfortable that is. It starts to get a bit sore, like you want to chew on something all the time. Baby elephants get that, and they go and they chew on those leaves to help to relieve the pain. So just one of the many magical trees that we have. And of course, it's not just about examination of the different trees and leaves and looking for animals. There's other clues that you can examine in order to learn a bit more about where an animal is and where it's going. Let's jump on the back with Hayden and see what he's found for you.
Well, Tully from Iluka Public School. Tully, welcome aboard Iluka Public School. Great to have you with us. And you wanted to know what colour elephant poo is. Well, I just happen to have one here I prepared earlier. And this is an elephant poo. Oh yeah, the real deal, a proper one. Look at the size of my hand. And that's the size of an elephant poo. Right. The interesting thing that I want to show you is, do you think that elephants really digest their food well or not so well? Half the class put their hand up and said well, and the other half put their hands up and said not so well. Well, I'm going to make sure you all know about it. And everyone I can feel going, ooh, he's touching it, oh my gosh. Do you know what? This is just plant matter, but I do recommend if ever you work with animals, you do anything with animals, you always wash your hands afterwards, and I will actually do that when I get back. But for the minute, I want to show you something. I'm just going to break this apart here a little bit, all over my car, and we're going to have a close look in there. Now, VM is zooming into that, and I can hear the oh all the way from Australia. But you know what? This is all plant matter. Now, I'm going to just stick my knife in here to show you that is all not very well digested plant matter in there, okay? And it sticks, and it's still bits of leaves, and it's also bits of grass, and bits of bark, and bits of root. And you know what? The elephant doesn't have a very efficient digestive system, Tully. So it has to consume large amounts, and that's why you see elephants eating for a very, very big part of the day, sometimes up to a couple of 100 kilograms of food a day. So it goes through their system very, very quickly. But over here, this one on the left is the droppings of something very, very different. And I'm going to you can just see, it looks very different to this one here, and you can see all the plant matter in there, and this one you can hardly see anything. I'm going to ask any school that sends a question in, an answer in, what do you think that poo is from? There lies the question. Yes, okay. It's droppings of something. I'm going to give you a couple of clues. It's big. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say to you. I'm going to just pop this over the edge. Okay, bye. And this one here, I'm going to keep. And you can, whoever sends an email to us, have a guess if you like. I'm going to give you another clue. It is an animal that eats leaves. There we go. Okay, we've got a question from Brian in Camaret Public School. Fantastic to have you on board, guys, just around the corner from where I live. And you want to know if elephants have teeth. Absolutely they do. They have 6 sets of teeth in their lifetime, and they move forward through their jaw. And when they move forward, sometimes they drop a tooth, and we do find them occasionally. We find a tooth now and again. And it's like a grinding plate. They have them on the top and the bottom, and they grind those like our back teeth, like our sort of molars at the back that we use for grinding up our food. But they grind it up as much as they possibly can. And do you know what? I've seen in a place in Africa called Uganda, I've seen elephants looking after their teeth. They were getting plants out of the water that had sand on the bottom of them, and they were washing the sand off like a tea bag in the water so they wouldn't grind their teeth, so it didn't taste that good. So they were washing it off, and they prefer those soft, tender shoots. So really interesting. They have 6 sets of teeth, and when they lose those teeth, they really do struggle to eat when they get really old. All right, we're going to carry on looking for some creatures. It's a bit quiet this morning, but I have to also tell you, it's really important for you to know Okay, so we've got Warwick Farm, Beecroft and Middle Harbour say that it's impala, is it? Is that what I'm just listening to my earpiece? Ah, right, well it's a really, really good guess, guys, and I'm really impressed. But it's a bit bigger than that. And I'm going to just stop here ever so quickly. That, right there, really quickly, because I know we haven't got a lot of time. Believe it or not, but that is the dropping of a giraffe. Do you believe that? There's my thumb. Okay, and there's a giraffe. Okay, a giraffe poo. Well, Daceyville and French's Forest School got giraffe. Well done, guys. But you know what? It's really hard to tell sometimes. So everyone that had a guess, brilliant. It is giraffe, and they are really, really efficient eaters. So maybe you guys could do a project on digestion at school with your teachers and figure out why animals eat what they eat and why animals digest like they digest. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we've done enough on poo, I think. Let's go and cross to Jamie. I think she might have a creature. I'm going to go and look for some more. We'll see you just now.
If you look really, really carefully, hidden behind the leaves and the branches, can you see movement there? Now that is one of my favorite antelope, and it's an antelope called a waterbuck. Now, as you can guess, it is called a waterbuck because it likes to live in water, and that's why it's got such thick, shaggy fur. Now, unfortunately, they're playing hard to see, hidden behind all of the branches of the trees, but as this one moves into the sunlight, have a look at the most amazing thing and the most distinctive thing about a waterbuck. In theory, have a look at it. There, you see that flash of white? So, waterbuck have a circle of white around the bottom. Now, nobody knows exactly what that is for, and some say that it is so that the baby waterbuck can follow their moms. Others say that it's so that the whole herd can stay together in case they're chased by a predator. Either way, it stands out really, really clearly, and if you look at it, it starts to look a bit funny because it looks as though a waterbuck sat on a freshly painted toilet seat. and that left the white ring around the bottom. And in some popular tales, they say that the baboons painted a toilet seat, and then the waterbuck sat on it. And Malika, in Warwick Farm Public School, just talking about our antelope. These are female waterbuck, and in fact that's a baby waterbuck, believe it or not. They're actually really, really big antelope. Marika, only the males in waterbuck have horns, but you want to know why the antelope have horns. Well, that's fascinating. For antelope like waterbuck, where only the male has horns, they live in thick vegetation, so for the females they'd rather hide than fight. But the males need the horns, just like the lion needs a mane. The male lion needs a mane to fight off other male waterbuck, to have access to the females, to collect a group of females that he can call his own, so that he can have babies. But there are some antelope where the female have horns as well. So for something like a wildebeest, or I don't know if you've ever heard of an oryx with their giant, long, spear-like horns, in that case the females have horns as well because they live in much more open areas, in clearings. And that means that instead of hiding, they are brave and they fight off predators, so they need horns as well. But for our waterbuck, for the females to have horns in this thick vegetation, all that would happen is that they would get stuck and slow the waterbuck down. So horns are always used as a weapon, but either for other males or for predators. And Mara Public School, talking about our antelope, this is actually one of our slower antelope species, but I don't think any of us would describe them as slow. They are the sprinters of the Olympic animal world. And Mara would like to know how fast an antelope can travel. At its fastest, right up to about 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. There are some that can run even faster than that. Now, most predators out here, like a lion or a leopard, they can travel very, very fast. 20 meters per second, 20 to even up to 24 meters per second. But they can't do it for very long. And that is where an antelope's natural advantage comes in, because they're long-distance runners. So they can run very fast for much longer than the predators do, which is why leopards and lions and cheetah actually have to try and sneak up on them and get close to them before they try and hunt them. Our waterbuck have disappeared now into the thick vegetation. Let's go see what else we can find. And speaking of animal speeds, Isaac in French's Forest Public School wants to know what the slowest animal is. I don't know, Isaac. I can be pretty slow getting out of bed in the morning. But if I had to tell you, maybe something like a snail. We get an animal called a giant land snail. A snail that's bigger than my hand. Absolutely enormous. But they're very, very slow. So they move inch by inch by inch, just like the snails do that you will have seen in different areas that you are from. So snails are some of the slowest, and then of course there's some animals that hardly ever move, like snakes, ambush snakes like a puff adder. But when they need to move fast, then they can move really fast. Tortoises are also slow, but I've seen a tortoise run and they're not as slow as you think they are. When they want to, they can run not very fast, you'd still be able to outrun them, but they can move quickly with their little stumpy legs to go and hide somewhere underneath the vegetation. Now, Isaac, what you don't want to do is make the mistake of thinking that something like a hippo or an elephant is slow. They might look big and stumbling and like they couldn't move very fast, but that is absolutely not the case. They are very, very quick movers. A hippo can run. Now imagine this, when you're done here, go and take 15 big steps. Take 15 big steps. A hippo can run that in 1 second. So in the time that it takes you to blink, if you blink slowly maybe, that's how fast a hippo would have covered that distance. So just because they look big and fat doesn't mean that they are slow. They're actually very, very quick. Come on, lion. And Sophia in Little Harbour Public School. Sophia's thinking about the birds that she sees in her school and wants to know if there are as many pigeons here as there are in her school. No, not quite, but we do get pigeons and doves here. But we don't have as many of the pigeons, but we do in Johannesburg, that you might have, because pigeons are very adaptable. They're very, very good at living in cities and breeding very quickly. I'm going to look for a pigeon to show you what our pigeons look like, because they're actually beautiful and bright green. But for now, Hayden has found something that is much, much taller than a pigeon.
Yes, one of my favourite animals on the planet, and how funny was that? We were just talking about their droppings. Check this out. Look at that. It's a beautiful big boy giraffe. So we just got a great question from Jasper in Daceyville Public School. Jasper, you want to know why giraffes have long necks? Well, over millions and millions of years, there used to be this creature, 10 generations back, of a giraffe relative called a Helidotherium. And that was about 30 to 50 million years ago. And then, if we fast forward to now, we've got the giraffe. And over that period of time, the giraffe's neck got longer and longer and longer, so they could find that little spot. Remember that I used that word earlier called a niche? And that's spelled N-I-C-H-E, and that means a special little spot that they can have in the ecosystem or in the habitat. And giraffes were very successful at feeding at a very high level. They became more successful, and hence their neck got that long. Now, the interesting thing about giraffe kids, and I don't know if you can feel down the back of your necks right now, those bones at the back of your neck, they're called your vertebrae. Okay, how many neck bones do you think a giraffe has got? Well, I know we don't have a lot of time to get emails in, but if you count down yours, you might think 3, 4, 5, I'm not sure. But you've got 7 in your neck. Well, how many do you think's in the giraffe's neck? Yeah, I heard a lot of people say 15, 23, all different numbers. They've got exactly the same number of neck vertebrae that you and I have. Now, I know you might find that strange. We're just going to move up a little bit closer and see if we can get out of this sunshine for VM. Just going to move up a little bit closer, because we've got a really great question from Charlotte in Nowandok Public School. Nowandok, hi, how are you going, guys? So great to have you on board. Is that a little bit better for you, VM? Just a little bit further? Okay, I'm just going to go past this tree here for VM. So okay, we'll stop right there. We saw this giraffe yesterday too. He's beautiful. So Charlotte, you asked, what's the tallest giraffe I've ever seen? Well, the tallest giraffe I've ever seen was about 6 meters tall, or 5 and a bit meters tall, 5.5, and it's very hard to measure them, but they do get up to that height. And this is a big boy, Charlotte. This boy here is a beautiful big male giraffe, and sometimes, I can probably hear many of you asking the question, do you find them by themselves like this often, or do you find them in a herd? Sometimes the boys will spend time like this by themselves, and other times you'll look at him and sometimes they'll be in a herd. Have a really close look, guys, and you can see there's all these different little birds around him. Great question from Nara Public School, and you just asked the question that I was just about to answer. There's lots and lots of little birds all over him, and what are they doing? Another great little project for you guys at school to have a look online after we finish, and you can look up a bird called a red-billed oxpecker. A red-billed oxpecker, and those birds, isn't that fantastic? They are actually doing a job for the giraffe. They can become a little bit annoying at times and get in his ears. You can see he's shaking his head there. But they're picking off parasites, little things like ticks and mites, little insects that the giraffe will have on him. and they are picking those off, and they're having a fantastic time there cleaning the giraffe, and they comb their beak through the giraffe's hair, and they get those little parasites out. But I want to talk about something really, really cool right now, what the giraffe is doing. He's eating, and if you can have a close look when he does eat, he uses his long tongue. This is great. I'm getting questions through about exactly what I'm just about to talk about. And Jordan in Sydney Children's Hospital School, great to have you on board, Jordan. And what a perfect question. I was just about to talk about their tongue, and you want to know whether it's true that they do have a dark or a purple tongue. Well, it's absolutely true, Jordan. And it's a bit hard to tell from where we are right now because the light is behind and it's a little bit of a struggle to see, but it is a purplish colour, and it's a real purple colour. It's very easy to tell that colour when you're up close. And maybe if you ever get a chance to go to Taronga Zoo, or you might be able to go onto Taronga Zoo's website, or Taronga Western Plains Zoo, you might see a picture of a giraffe's tongue, or look up online with your colleague, your friends, or whoever you can do it that with there, and you might get a picture of it, and it's long. It's about 1.5 times the length of a school ruler, Jordan, so it's about 45 centimetres long. And it's a really, really big word I want you guys to take home today. It's called prehensile. We've got a great question also from Warwick Farms Public School. Why do they have horns? Well, it's an interesting thing. A lot of the hoofed animals have horns, and these particular horns have got a big word, and you probably don't need to know this right now, but they're called ossicones. And again, your teachers might be able to look that up with you. Ossicones, and they are skin-covered little bony structures on the top of their heads, and they have those, and the males use those for fighting. And what they do is they drop their head and neck in a pendulum type of a fashion, just like on a grandfather clock, that pendulum that swings down there. They use their head and necks, and they hit each other with those, and they will do that when they're fighting for territory. But what a cool animal, guys. Hey, isn't this fantastic? A wild giraffe. We've only got about 3 minutes left, so whilst we're watching this beautiful giraffe, I'm just going to talk to you and tell you a little bit about why this is so important, what we're doing. Taronga Conservation Society and Wild Earth have put this together to give you all the opportunity to have a little bit of an adventure off in Africa. But you know what? The animals in Australia are just as important as the animals in Africa, just as important as the animals in Asia, and all the animals on the planet are really, really important. And what you are doing right now is learning about them. And kids, all I can say to you is keep doing it. You are the special little soldiers for us in the conservation army in the world. And the more you know about the planet, the more we are going to be able to save the planet, the more that we're going to be able to look after the animals in the habitat. The more that you know, the better the planet's going to be. And you can do loads in your little schools, or in your own classrooms, or in your own backyards, or wherever you are. You can make changes, and you can talk to your teachers about how to do that. And if you need ideas, you can go to the Taronga Zoo website or the Taronga Western Plains website and talk to the education departments there and get lots of ideas how you can do little projects in your own backyards or your own school grounds. And if you needed some help with that, we will be more than happy to talk to you about that. It's been absolutely fantastic, guys, to talk to you today. I can't tell you how excited I get when I talk to schools, because you know what? I've been in exactly the same position as you. I've sat there in the classroom and had this incredible experience from someone who's come in and talked to us. And you know what? If we can, make you love or change your thoughts about animals or make you learn something, all the better. Jamie is absolutely fantastic as well, and she has just got the most incredible knowledge. So if you want to follow this line of work, or you want to get into wildlife, or you want to get into anything like this with conservation, do it. Follow your heart, follow your dream, and you can do it. I did it. We're nothing special. We're just normal people, but we've just followed our dream, kids. And I tell you what, I'm going to finish up by saying farewell. Thank you to Taronga Conservation Society, Wild Earth, and all the schools for participating. If you want to watch again tomorrow, we're going to do this tomorrow again, and we'd be more than happy to have you on board. I'm going to let you finish with these beautiful pictures of this giraffe, and I'll talk you through a little bit more. But I want to say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone that watched, and hats off to the teachers that got it together. Look, he's just given us a bit of a look there. Hats off to all the teachers, all the questions, and a big hi to my boys' school. Happy days, Middle Harbour Public School, and Jack, great to have you watching, my boy, and thank you everyone for watching. See you later, guys. Well, folks, if you're watching from somewhere else in the world, thank you very much for listening to that special schools broadcast there that we did to Australian schools, particularly in the state of New South Wales. And it's a really important thing to me and to the team here at Wild Earth and everyone on Safari Live that kids are our little change agents. They're the ones that are going to make the massive changes on this planet. So we really nurture that, and to try and share that little experience with them. I was a little bit worried there for a while, I have to admit. We'd seen a couple of impala and a water buck, but you know, it is what it is. Particularly with the bush, you cannot plan, you can only hope. And we were lucky for this beautiful creature, one of my favourites on the planet, to give us a great thing at the end, that's for sure. But how cool is this giraffe? He's a beautiful boy. This is the one that we saw yesterday, VM, yeah? Yeah. Absolutely beautiful boy. He's just feeding away here, really comfortable with us as well. And he's definitely spending a bit of a solitary time. He's got a lot of red-billed oxpeckers on him, pardon me. A lot of red-billed oxpeckers on him. Just beautiful morning light. I tell you what, it was really cold this morning. Really cold, and we're just starting to warm up, which is nice. Beautiful light on him now. I've got a question from Melanie about asking if the patterns on all giraffes are different. They certainly are, Melanie. They've all got unique patterns on their or markings, whatever you like to call them, on their coat. Different subspecies have got different markings that are sort of more pertinent to their subspecies. So you'll have a similar they won't be exactly the same shape, but they're the same sort of configuration. So we've got the southern giraffe in front of us, and if you went all the way up to Kenya and looked at the reticulated giraffe, a very different pattern altogether, and a real chestnut sort of colour to those giraffe, and much more sort of a mosaic pattern, where these have got a little bit more of a star shape to them. But yes, Melanie, they do have all different patterns, and really beautiful at that. Browsing away, and I can't believe the amount of oxpeckers that actually are on this giraffe. He's got incredible amount on him, and they're really annoying him. skin condition on them. And then sometimes you'll get a wound as well that can have a skin condition, be exacerbated by a skin condition. It just depends where they are and their vigour, their age and what condition they're in, food availability, etc. But wow, that was really fantastic. Now, thank you very much for your question and great to have you on board. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Safari Live's Morning Drive. And if you've just joined us, you might have seen me or heard me really talking to kids in a very, very passionate, enthusiastic way. We do for adults alike, as we all do on Safari Live. But they only had an hour with us because in Australia, where we were doing the Schools Project 2, it was 2 to 3 in the afternoon. So school finishes at 3. So we just wound up there and we're back on normal drive now. So welcome to everyone. Welcome to all the regular wonderful Safari Live team that are watching. And if you're a new viewer, welcome aboard to you and fantastic to have you. This is a live drive from the Djuma Game Reserve I'm on at the moment in the Sabi Sand, South Africa. And obviously my accent doesn't sound very South African, but I'm from Australia originally and I just absolutely adore this country. It is one of the most beautiful countries on the planet and I'm very, very lucky to be here just for this week, focusing on these morning drives for Australian schools, but then I begged them to do some afternoon drives as well, and the team said, oh, all right, if we have to. So it's been a real great pleasure for me, and I've got VM on board with me, who is my eyes in the sky. We've had some great luck along here, VM and I, with predators, so I just said to VM, we're going to go up to Sandy Patch.
We've got really, really exciting news, and I'm kind of splitting my attention between the flood of words that's coming through the Game Drive comms and the fact that we are here on Weaver's Nest waiting for Karula and her cubs to make up their mind which way they're going to go. So they're standing at the moment on a main boundary line that is our southern boundary. It's as far south as we can go. She spends a lot of time around that boundary. Karula, of course, being a leopard, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the name Karula, and she's got 2 6-month-old cubs. And she spends a lot of time crossing between our Traverse area and back here. At the moment, she is on Little Gowrie, but she's playing with the cubs backwards and forwards. The difficulty is, of course, because it's a main road, I can't actually see, sorry, I'm going to have to reposition slightly. Because it's a main road, there are lots and lots of vehicles that can drive there and can see her. But we're the only one at the moment here that is able to drive to the north. So if she decides to come here, we have to be close because they can't follow her on here to keep sight of her for us. Which means that we've just got to wait around the area. We've got to be close so that as soon as they say, okay, she's coming north, if they say she's coming north, which is the hope that we have at the moment, then we'll be able to catch up with her there. I'm stopping, it's a toss-up because on the one hand there's sun to warm us up, on the other there's a bright sun that I can't see into. Let's go and have a look at these hornbills for now while I wait and just listen to the Game Drive comms, which I have to tell you it's relatively busy, but we're not far off. It's just whether or not she goes south, which I'm really hoping she doesn't. Please don't, Karula. Come back to us. Don't stop, please, on my account. Standing by. Peter, thank you. I'm standing by about 100 meters north on Weaver's Nest. Copy, thank you, Peter. Okay, sorry about that. So just chatting to Peter from Nkoro, who's been very kind in keeping us updated, and he says at the moment, although they are on Little Gowrie, they are still visible from the road. There we go. Let's turn that down slightly. So Peter's been kind enough to keep us updated and that she's still visible from the road. And our hornbills are currently giving us a lovely mating display. Synchronized, and I mean, we've obviously got Olympics on our mind. This is some kind of gymnastics that they're performing, rhythmic gymnastics or something similar, in perfect unison. And what they're doing basically is they are reaffirming the bond between the pair of them. Copy, Peter, thank you. Okay, we need to race in. Peter says they're going south. He's making space for us very kindly. Sorry, hornbills, your display is lovely. I'll give you 10 out of 10, but we need to go. Oh no, Karula, not south. Come north, come north. Okay. We're just going to slow down ever so slightly when we get to the main road junction. But while we race there and try and figure out exactly what's going on, we're going to send you across to Hayden. We might bring you back very quickly.
Well, that's really great news to hear what Jamie's up to there, because we did go around and have a little look down that area early this morning. It wasn't even light to see where Karula was. We were pretty guaranteed she wasn't going to be there after that. The rest of her kill fell out of the tree by little, I think it was little Hasana dropped it, and then the hyena got it, and then they'd move on. We're just listening to the radio right now. We heard a lot of line around our camp last night, big line roars, and we think they've moved over onto Buffelshoek. We're just cruising up on Sandy Patch at the moment, having a look for any tracks, listening to the radio, but you never know what's around the next corner. You just do not know, and I think it's really nice just to have a little scratch around. Jamie's onto that hot information of Karula, and I dropped out of signal, pardon me, before. What I was saying, one of the most wonderful presenters I've worked with in a long time, Jamie Patterson, and she is just great to hear and to be on drive with. Wonderful stuff. So we're just up on Sandy Patch. I was just saying to VM, we've had some really nice luck up here with predators in the past. We've definitely got some nyala over here looking down a different direction, all looking the same way, which is always good just to stop and have a little look around. What's that? Steenbok, is it, down there? Yep. So sometimes what can happen, folks, is sorry, I'm just crying from a bit of the cold here. It was 9 degrees this morning, or about 49 Fahrenheit, so it's just warming up, and we're being like reptiles at the moment, getting ourselves to preferred body temperature. Sometimes some of the antelope, giraffe do it also. There can be a noise down in the vegetation, and it can be another antelope, but they all get very skittish and they all sort of need to know what's going on before they continue. They're all frozen here, and I am just, whilst VM's just looking at them, I'm just going to have a little scan around with my binoculars to see, because you just never know. You just never know what's down around. We've got lots of leopard around, but so great to hear that Karula is potentially coming our way. We had an incredible couple of days, 48 hours with Karula, and yesterday we saw that behaviour right at the end. If you were watching, you'll know what I'm talking about, sorry. But we had Karula and her cubs with she's such an incredible mum, and successful hunt, put it up the tree, youngsters feeding on it. At the end of it, dropped out of the tree. As soon as it hit the ground, that hyena was just resting back in a little vegetated area, straight down under the tree. She tried to get it back up the tree, dropped a bit of it, and the hyena just crunched through those bones. It was absolutely brilliant to watch and hear. But everyone's sound, and her little cubs. I have been saying over the past few days, folks, I do apologise that they're 7 months old. They're actually just only 6 months old. I counted my months incorrectly, so I do apologise there. But this beautiful, beautiful antelope in front of us here, isn't she gorgeous? This is a female Nyala. Gorgeous antelope. Sexually dimorphic when it comes to the males. Very, very different, much bigger than her, and much different in their appearance. A much greyer colour with a mane and a spinal crest that goes down their back. Here comes a young one actually, and he's just he's just starting to get a bit of a change in his colour. You can see the front legs and a little bit of a white sort of spinal fringe that becomes very, very erect when they're displaying to each other. They've got this incredible display that they do, and they would rather avoid a massive conflict. They do come to battle often, but they do this incredible display as well, and it's this sort of a dance that they do. It's like a standoff, but this is a very young male, and you can just see the little leg stripes and the different colours appearing on him. Well, that will become rather grand over time. Another male coming behind him, even younger, and then a female behind that, and the females stay that gorgeous chestnut orange colour. But really good to see here the different stripe patterns too. Much like kudu, they have a unique stripe pattern down the sides. There's really close stripes on that one. That's quite beautiful on that female crossing. She's got a few scars on her. Yeah, beautiful. She could be